Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have Colin Nathan, internationally recognized boxing trainer, with me. Viva, Colin. How are you?
Viva, bro. Nice to be on your platform, man. This is like quite cool.
It's quite cool. It's
Loving it, eh?
Yeah, well, look, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to come to the gym anymore. It just means that, if we need to do any breaking news or instant news, this is the way forward.
Sure. It's a good initiative. So I'm glad to be your first interview on this.
Great. Well, Cole, at the end of the day, you've got a whole bunch of boxers with a whole bunch of prospects and international scene boxers. The focus now, especially in the beginning of the year, usually goes towards the prospects. Just starting off the year, the international boxers do take a little bit longer to organize fights for. Amongst the prospects, do you have something lined up already?
Yeah, so I'm part of Boxing 5, Larry and Riaz, and we're obviously putting together a development show, which is coming out on the 10th of March, which is going to be really very exciting. We've got 5 fighters featuring from our gym. Looking very forward to that. And then obviously last week we had the pro licensing. We had Josh Feldman getting his pro license. I mean, he was definitely a standout from those sparring trials that happened through Boxing South Africa in the Gauteng area. So looking forward to seeing him, placing him. I'm not going to be placing him straight away. I still want to develop him a little bit more in the gym, but we're looking at putting him out in the next 3 to 4 months. But with regards to spot prospects, we've got Tyron Chapman, we've got Ishmael Qadri going for his first 6-rounder, Katlego Kanyisa coming back off his fractured hand that he had to go for surgery on. Daniel Adams, also an exciting prospect who's unbeaten in 2 fights. So looking very forward to, just that event from the 10th of March. And then obviously I'm working behind the scenes. We've got some big stuff happening. You obviously made the announcement with Hecky Butt and the step-aside fee. We're obviously keeping our attention to who wins between Taraji and Gonzalez in April, with us guaranteed to fight for the winner for all the prizes, all the belts except for Sivanati's. I'm also working on Sivanati's fight at the moment, putting that together. So there's a lot of things happening. Also planning Loretta Dlamini's comeback. And then Hedda Volmans has vacated the IBF championship at 140. We've moved up to 147. Funny enough, I actually got an offer last week from Matchroom for Chantal Cameron for her to go up against, and we obviously turned that down because she just can't make 140 anymore. So there's a lot of activity in the gym. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of good things, good energy in the gym, and I'm just looking forward to this year and what it presents.
Yeah, just focusing on Hedda going up in weights as well. 147, obviously that's the welterweight division. You mentioned she can't make it anymore. Is it the best weight division for her? Do you feel, I know that obviously you have no option, but do you feel that she'll be as good at that weight division as she was at junior welter?
I think she'll be stronger, and I think she'll hit hard as well. I just think the last kilogram or 2 was like really draining her. Although we've never had a weight problem, as you know, with Hedda. She just felt to me, we're getting ready for her last fight, which obviously didn't happen. And she sat me in my office and she said, look, Cole, I'm struggling to make 140. So I thought, well, let's move up to 147. So I'm looking very forward to what the future holds for her. And I'm not going to stop until I get a world title shot. Almost sure she's going to be rated in some of the other sanctioning bodies at 147. And I'm looking forward to what presents itself. But I will not stop until she gets a world title shot.
Yeah, Hedda's always been like sort of the golden goal at the gym as well. With you, you've developed her up until about 7-0 now, is it?
She's 7-0, 4 KOs.
4 KOs. So, I mean, she's always been known as a power puncher. Sort of the boxing elements and the skills got seen later on when the competition went up. And, she's looking primed for a title shot soon. I know that the female divisions are slightly thinner than the men's divisions in terms of participants. So hopefully after a fight or 2, we could see her lining up with names such as the welterweight versions of your Chantal Camerons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking forward to that. It's just one of those things. I mean, we got her to number 2 in the world in the IBF. She dropped down a place because of her inactivity. And that was no fault of anyone's. We had 3 or 4 opponents pulling out, as you know. You remember the drama towards the end of last year with regards to her. We now have to fight her internationally. I don't think I'm going to be taking a risk with bringing in African opponents for her because they're just not reliable, And She is scheduled to fight in April, so I'm looking forward to putting her on there as a welterweight and see how she performs. And then after that, we'll take a decision and see, what the next step is. But again, I'm going to say I'm not going to stop until I get a world title shot.
And I wanted to quickly pick up on a point. You said you're going to be bringing Lorenzo Glamini back. He's obviously coming off that world title defeat against
Jazza Dickens. I thought he, listen, I thought it was a good experience. It's not the end of the world, fighting and losing at that level. I thought we won. But it was a very close fight. And obviously in that environment, it's never easy to win. But, he showed that he's world-class. He showed he can mix it up. And again, I still think the world of his ability and talent. And I think he's still nicely placed in the world ratings. And I think we're going to get a comeback win for him. And then after that, we're going to look at obviously building him up and getting him into another title shot.
I think it's public knowledge as well that you represent Laduma Lamati as well in terms of a managerial and international advisory.
Yeah.
How do you steer those two clear? Because it's an obvious path that both should be fighting for world titles in the near future.
Well, that's why there's so many sanction bodies. Look, at the end of the day, I'm busy dealing with Laduma Lamati's got an offer from the UK, which I'm busy. Funny enough, I got a message on my phone literally as you called me to do this interview. So I'm busy putting that together potentially. It's a big fight for Laduma. We need to see how good Laduma is internationally as well. So I'm prepared to take the step. Because I truly believe that both fighters are capable of achieving world-class level results. And we also need to see how good Laduma is at that level. He won the IBO version at 122 as a junior featherweight. He feels comfortable as a featherweight. So, if we can get him in contention for something big like Glamini, I don't see why we can't get them in fighting for world title shots.
I don't know if it's just the fight itself, but Laduma Lamati most certainly looked like he possessed more power at featherweights. The stoppage win over the Philippines opponents back in November was certainly a statement win.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great body shot that knocked him out. Surprising, because I thought the fight was going to go the rounds. But again, he took care of the business, and that's what it's all about. You got to go in and make a statement, and I thought he made a good statement. So now's the time for us to see how good he is and step him up. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's what I'm busy working on. And again, with regards to Lorato, I want to bring him back in a comeback fight, and just get him back in the winning column, build up his confidence, and then see what the world presents.
Another guy that actually I was thinking of and wanted to talk about was someone that came back last year. You managed to get him a win was DJ Krill, because he came back, looked like a bit of a rusty performance, but he came back nonetheless. He got the victory. He did enough on the day. What's happening with him? Because I feel like he's had a total mindset shift where before he'd be only wanting to fight the big fights, the world title fights. Now he's sort of back in that mode saying he just wants to be active.
Yeah, so we're looking at bringing him back in April, May. I'm waiting for I'm actually waiting for a broadcast date to be given to Boxing 5. And then after that, obviously, we're gonna see and assess. His next fight will be a flyweight. I don't think we're going to do catchweight again. And then after that, I want to see how he performs at flyweight, given the nature of who we're going to put him in against. And after assessing that, it'll either be flyweight or even bring him back down to 108 to junior fly. Let's see.
All right. So that was also a great step for him being back in the country, and another great addition to your gym. I know he was previously a part of your gym, but he's back with your Hotbox family again. Let's also focus on the Tutor brothers as well. I think going back to them, when they joined, there was a lot of hype and excitement around them. They've both remained undefeated since they've joined your gym as well, which has been positive results and developments. What's the likelihood for either of them to jump in the ring?
So we were going to place Tristan back now on the 10th of March, but he's doing some sort of exam. He's doing a diploma course in education, which I obviously encouraged him to do. So right now he's focusing on his studies, and he's not going to be in the gym for the next few weeks. Caden's going to be back at the end of March down in Durban, fighting on ESPN. Looking forward to that, just to get more momentum. It's going to be an interesting situation because we've got Super Cesar Zingangi in the gym training with Shannon Stradom, who's obviously part of No Doubt Management. And then Caden, who I believe is at number 3 in the South African ratings. It's interesting because I think Lunga Sitimela's fighting Bogwaza for the WBF version of the world title, and I think he wins that, which opens up the South African title, which could mean that we could have the two leading contenders for the vacant belts in the gym. So I was actually discussing that with Shannon today. So one might have to go another route, which is fine because obviously they can't fight each other. And again, that's why they're sanctioning bodies in the world. You don't have to just go through one sanctioning body. And then, but it's going to be a very interesting climate with that situation. Caden, as you know, got a lot of momentum last year, went 3-0, 3 KOs, looking to build that momentum as well. With Tristan, I'm still undecided whether he is number one at super middleweight, but I think he may be able to make middleweights. And I'm going to assess him with my strength and conditioning coach, Scott, after his studies, which I think is crucial that he gets past first and does. And then we'll be probably bringing him back in the next 3 or 4 months as well.
You almost feel that with the fact that Sibusiso Ngange has been an SA champion before, obviously he suffered the horrendous shoulder injury last year, which took the title away from him. He was the champion. You almost feel like he's the one that should be going the international route, and Tutor should be the one aspiring to be the SA champion, seeing as he hasn't had a taste of the belt yet. And there's other contenders such as Lucky Monyabane out there as well, who's also looking to seek for an SA title shot.
Also, you need to remember, because Caden's still so young at 21, he can fight for World Youth Championships, which gives him quite a good advantage above some of the other competition in that division. I don't know. It's a decision that I'll have to obviously just navigate with Shannon and obviously feel what's best for both athletes. They're both friends as well, and they spar in the gym, as you know. So it's just very interesting dynamic and how boxing works, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. But right now, obviously, I can't make any decision until things obviously fall into place. And boxing, sometimes things very rarely ever fall into place.
Of course. Well, that's how it is. It's always you gotta just go with the flow and get your opportunities, take them when they're available to you, and that's basically boxing for you. So I mean, opportunities will present themselves inevitably, with no doubt management being on board, because you do provide the opportunities. It's about the boxers now taking the opportunities and seizing them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't stop working. I spend like 50% of my day now in my office behind my laptop and doing these kind of, I don't want to say deals, but it's like my job now. So 50% on the floor coaching and obviously managing, and then obviously doing a lot of the work in my office behind my laptop. I'm loving it. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love what I do. I'm not going to stop. I just think that this year is going to be very interesting for boxing. There's already a few things that are starting to be announced. I just think that there was a lot of momentum gained from last year. I'm hoping that the momentum can carry on. But again, you can't make any predictions. You can't make any decisions until things fall into place. And unfortunately, boxing, there's no quick, easy fix, and there's no quick, easy fix. And sometimes you just got to wait for things to fall into place. And it can be frustrating at times. I mean, I sit here in my office sometimes wanting to pull up my hair, but that's just the nature of boxing. I mean, and as you know, Hayden, things can change literally in a day or a week in boxing. Things can fall apart, things can happen. People are often saying, well, I'll only believe it when the two fighters are in the ring, when the first bell goes. So there's a lot of optimism, but I suppose there's also a lot of pessimism as well in the sport. And unfortunately, it's not just in South Africa, it's globally as well.
Everyone likes to hear a bit of news, and, they get excited for something ahead of time. So when you sort of set something out in advance, it gives people enough time to adjust and start preparing for certain news. I know you mentioned earlier that Nontshinga, there's something developing.
Hold on. Just on that point. Yeah, but I don't want to make announcements, unless they fall into place. Because, there are a lot of people out there that talk a lot of shit and make a lot of announcements and put out shit on Twitter, and it never happens.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be one of those guys. So I'll be rather cagey and reserved with what I say, because I don't want to egg on my face. Because, it just, like I'm saying, those people that say, I'll only believe it when the guy's in the ring, sometimes you got to believe that, because that's what happens. Nontshinga, it's no secret that I'm really trying hard to get a home defense in East London. Been working on that. Again, like I'm waiting upon people. I've got 1 or 2 people in mind who we want to put him in with. There's also another offer from overseas, which is worth a lot of money to Sivanati. But, in terms of what it's like not just about well, it's my responsibility to make the kid money, obviously, but I also want to do right by South African boxing, and I'd love to put on. I mean, listen to this, we haven't had a legitimate world title fight in South Africa since 2016, when Heki lost his world title to Byron Rojas, right? And we have such amazing talent in South African boxing. But it just tells you that, like, what's going on here? You know, guys have got television deals, guys have got good sponsors, and they're not putting on legitimate world title fights. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, seriously. You know, people are blaming the economy and doing this. And some of these titles and some of these world championships really don't cost a lot of money to put on. So I would really love to do right by South African boxing and really try and get this title fight defense, the homecoming defense for 719 in East London. So I'm optimistic. I can't guarantee it until I've got things in writing, but I'm working hard on that, and it's something I really, really am trying hard to do.
Yeah, obviously, great moment that came out of that fight as well. Obviously, the 9 minutes, the thing that came out there as well. I know we go on and on about this, but obviously that there are great things that came out of 719 Nontshinga winning. Obviously, it lifted the whole country because he's the only legitimate world champion that we have at the moment. So whenever there's any news about him right now, as things stand, it's usually going to be big news.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, like I'm saying, I'm working on a couple of things, but you know, like I can't definitely say this is going to happen or this is not going to happen. But we are working. Rumble Africa, myself, we're working really hard to try and get this off the ground.
All right, so let me put you on the spot real
quick.
So
in conjunction with Matchroom, who I've obviously been in communication with for this potential homecoming defense.
Let me put you on the spots really quickly, just pertaining to your gym and you know, the boxes that are in the gym. Do we have any? I know boxing trainers don't like to single out individuals, especially when they have a lot of boxers that are with them. But are there any surprise packages this year? Someone that's gonna, you know, come out that perhaps not expected to do as well as people expect?
Listen, you know, like from my gym specifically, obviously, I can't mention names because it'd be biased, and it's talking about my athletes that I represent, train or manage, or that I advise. But that's the beauty about boxing, Hayden, is that there's no guarantees. It's like life. There are no guarantees in life. And you just never know. Like for Young Zignobo, put on a great performance against Kosei Tanaka. No one thought that he would see 4 or 5 rounds. And to the scores had him losing 7 rounds to 3. And he showed that he's legitimately world class and he can mix it up. So there's always going to be surprise packages. I think, I don't know. I actually don't know. And it's one of the most intriguing things about boxing and potentially, and specifically about South African boxing, because you just never know who the next star could be or could emerge or create an upset. And that's what I love about the sport so much, is that there are no guarantees. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think there'd be certain fighters that can obviously step it up and take it to the next level and keep South African boxing smiling and shining. But I just don't know at this stage. I just don't know.
Okay. I was just testing you there to see whether or not you were going to single out. But I know it is a uniform. It's a family there at Hotbox Gym, and obviously results are everything. And so, yeah, without singling out anyone or saying any names, you know, I've obviously got great favorites in the gym as well, the likes of Lorenzo Glamini. Personally, this is for me, and Heki Budler as well. And obviously a lot of the prospects coming through are still new, especially to the media and the public out there. But guys like Ishmael Kadri is a nice name coming through, Caden Tutor. And a surprise package for me last year would have been Tyron. He came through really unassumingly, got a nice stoppage win, and he's on to his second fights already.
Yeah, he's fighting on the 10th of March. So I'm glad you mentioned all those names, because if I had mentioned them, I would have been biased. So you can have your favorites. It's like who's your favorite manager, Hayden? It's okay. But hey, listen, you know, just the thing is, like often like guys walk into your life and you don't know. You just really don't know. Like I often tell the story, and I know he might get a bit irritated with this, but DJ Krill came to me as a fighter 2-1, and I started coaching him as a favor for a friend of mine. And I looked at this guy and I looked at him and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's just so crap. What have I got myself into? And the next thing, he becomes champion of the world. I mean, it's just incredible. So you just never know. You know, there's been fighters over the years that have walked in and I thought great amateur pedigree, you know, got the look, got the charisma, and he just, you know, they just crumble. They just never ever lived up to the expectation of the hype. But you know, boxing is just the guys work hard, they achieve, they score good results, and the next thing they're champions, and then you get them into the world ratings and you get them moving, and the next thing, you know, the champion of the world. It's just incredible. So you just never know who the next superstar is walking through your doors. You really just don't know. It's always a risk you got to take.
And of course, you love a good story as well, like your new boxer Joshua Feldman as well. Nice story for you there.
I love the stories, man. I love the story. That's what boxing's all about: the stories, the characters. You know, the controversy. You know, boxing and controversy go hand in hand. There's, you know, at the end of the day, we're all sadists. You know, some of the fighters are masochists, so they know they have to get hit in order to win. It's just one of those things. But most of the public that watch boxing, they want the knockout. So, you know, as long as they're the safest and masochists in the world, boxing will always do well. I love what I do. You love what you do. So, yeah, I think you know, I think things are a little slow now to get off the ground here in South Africa. But I think once things start getting momentum, they'll start booming again.
All right. Cole, is there anything else that you have news, anything that's available exclusively or anything like that coming up?
No, but tomorrow things could change.
No,
right. Yeah, tomorrow I might be phoning in saying, hey, man, this is something you need to pick up. Right now, no, just obviously. Sorry, what was that?
Just one WhatsApp away from a breaking news story.
Listen, dude, you're one step away, one phone call away, or one WhatsApp text away from things changing, literally. So you just don't know. So my phone's on silent now. So when this interview's over, I'm going to go and take a look. And in 5 minutes' time, things could change.
So the second interview's loading as we speak.
Absolutely. So maybe what's today? Tuesday. So maybe Friday we drop another one.
Beautiful. Love it.
Okay, take care, bro. Viva, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, Colin. We'll see you soon.